All right, welcome back, guys. Okay, so in our last recording, we did our HTML and we set up our structure for it, and we also set up our style sheet. We linked it to this document. So now, on top of our document, we should see our source code and the global .css up here inside of our layout.html document. Okay, now we're going to work inside of the global.css document. So let's go ahead and click on global CSS document. All this is just in our character set, and then the CSS document. This is the comments. This is how you comment in CSS. So I'm just going to go down a line just to keep that information up there by itself. Give it some space. So with our body, if we look at our PSD document, I'm going to go ahead and go to my history and make it look like it looked when we opened it. Okay. I'm going to hide those guides. And this is how it's looking. So remember, this is our body. This color blue is the body. We have, and the body's kind of, or the wrapper is kind of sitting inside. It's not directly to the edge of the body. So that's what we want to make happen. We want to give it some room. And I'm actually going to give it just a little room on the top because I want some of that blue coming through. Well, actually, let's see what it looks like, and then we'll see. Okay, so we're about to control how this looks. So let's go ahead and do that. So for our body, we already know that our body is going to be... Did I write the color for our body? I did not. Hang on, let me see. Our body is going to be that, not the sky blue, not the dark blue. I don't think I wrote it. All right, let me grab this color. Let's see. So let's see. For our body, we're going to do... it's going to be the 004080. So 004080. All right, so I'm going to make it that color. We'll see how it looks as that color. So we'll see how long that color is going to last in my mind. But anyway, so since I know what color body is, I'm going to type our CSS for body. So remember, that is our selector, which is body. If we go in, now we're going to give it the property value pairing. So we're going to say background dash color. And then we're going to put those numbers in. We have that 004080. And we have to end our row with our semicolon, right? We know that it's sitting a certain width from the side. So we might give it some maybe padding. We'll try that. Margin and padding are kind of like interchangeable. I'm going to say 2%. And I'm going to say, let's see what that looks like so far. It's kind of moving it. Let me test it just to make sure. I'm going to go big just for this moment, just so I can see. Okay, all right. So it is moving it in a little bit. So I'll say maybe 5%. I'm kind of liking how that's looking right there. Okay. So we'll go with that. So now if I look at the Photoshop document, I want to see what color is most of my text. We have some dark areas. So I can set a main color for it and then change the color of text later, but I have to decide whether I want to make the main color this white or whether I'm going to make the main color this blue. So in this instance, I'm not going to set a color for text, but you can. If you know that in a majority of your document that your text is going to be a certain color, like say white or black, then at that point inside a body, instead of you having to define it every single time, you can just go ahead and say, oh, okay, in body, I want my text to be this color. Now, if you decide that, just so that you know, the default color for the text is black, regardless. So if all your text is going to be black, you might as well keep it at default. Okay, that being said, I'm going to go back into our styles. Okay, so we don't really need to do anything else with body for now. Okay, so the next thing that we want to set up is we had that wrapper. So let's go ahead and do our, remember we have to call to it. So it's going to be the pound sign and then wrapper. And then for our wrapper, we know that we want our width to be a percentage, remember, because we kind of want it to be, we don't want it to be at 100% per se, because we want some of that blue showing. Now we did give it padding, so, but we still want maybe just a little more. So I'm going to say with 95%. So this means that it's going to be, oops, percent. This means that it's going to be 95% of its parent div. Well, wrapper's parent is body, right? So it's going to be 95% of the body, okay? Because that's how these percentages work. They're whatever percentage of their parent div. So I'm going to choose save. I'm going to look at it over here, and I see that it's gone in just a little bit more, okay? And remember, this is a small space that we have here. What it's going to actually look out on the browser. Let's check Chrome real quick. Let's bring this over so that you guys can see it and not just me. All right, let's see if I can grab this. I can put it inside the window. So, all right, so this is what it's looking inside of the browser when I make the browser this size. So if I make it smaller, you see that it goes in. So right now, it's responding to whatever width I have set up. So I actually feel like this is too much. I do. So what I might do at this point is I might take off the padding for the left and the right and just, I'm sorry, keep the padding on left and right, but I might take off the padding for the top because I don't want that. So remember, that's trouble. So right now I'm saying, okay, you know what? I think I want top and bottom to be 0. And I can put that percent there. And I want left and right to be 5%. So when I save that and I go back to my Google later and I hit refresh, now the padding is all the way up at the top, but the margin for the left and right is too much. That's not what I want either. I think I went in reverse, and I did. So simple fix. I'm going to say the top and bottom I want to be 5, and left and right I want to be 0. So now with padding top and bottom 5, left and right 0, I made sure I saved it. Now I'm going to go back into Chrome and check it out at that point. But now it's moving it at 5% as it should. Okay, so this 5% is just a little too much, I think, because of the area that I have. So I don't want that much. And this is the numbers game. This is when you play around to see what it is exactly is going to make you happy. So maybe I'll choose 1% for both, and then I'll choose this and bring it up. And I like that. I like that 1%. I cannot lie. Okay, so I just, because I only want a little blue showing, and that's pretty much it. But now, see, I see it's responding to padding. Is it even responding to my 95? Oh, we don't have anything in here to even know. All right, so we'll just press on. So our wrapper we have at 95%. Our wrapper, what color was our wrapper? Our wrapper, I think we have the wrapper the same color as body. I'm gonna make the wrapper white. You know why? Because I want that to extend the length. So I'm gonna make the wrapper white. I am gonna do that. So for the wrapper, I'm gonna make it a background color white. Save that. I'm gonna preview it. Okay, so now the areas around here are white. I do notice something interesting, which we're gonna fix later, but the amount of space that's on the left side versus the amount of space on the right side, is just a little different. And we'll be plugging exact numbers in here later. But for now, let's just fix some other stuff. So I don't like that the text is too close to the left side. So I want to affect the text on the inside of the box. So maybe I'll give it some padding. I'm going to play with percentages for the padding. And I might say 1% just to see what that looks like. I might save that. Padding 1%. Make sure, okay. Save that. And let me choose this. All right, I like that. I think that's looking much better. Okay, so that's cool. So now with wrapper, like I said, we have that, we have our width at 95%. We need to fix our margin on the other side. And we can do that. You know what? Wait. Padding 1%. Hang on. I'm going to do 1% for both. Might as well do this. Make sure it's here. Make sure nothing changed. And it hasn't. Okay. And we're going to have to fix that. And we'll fix it in a moment. We'll come back to it. Another thing for our wrapper, I kind of want it to center, right? So I'm going to say margin. I'm going to spell it right. And I'm going to try this. This has a mind of its own as well. So now I'm saying, okay, so my margin, I want to have 0 auto. So I want it to always center inside of its parent div. So when I hit refresh, now I have it centering the way that I want it to center. Okay, so now life is good. All are happy and people are eating. I like that. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to minimize this. And so for our wrapper for now, I think we're good with what we have. So next thing we want to style is our header. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Our header, we're going to say a width. Now remember, now header is whatever width we put in here, it's of its parent div. So we can do 100% because all that means is header is going to be 100% of wrapper because wrapper is its parent, right? When we said the width of wrapper was going to not be 95%, it was 95% of the body, okay? This can get confusing. I'm hoping to explain it in as detailed as possible so that you don't get confused. The reason that parent-child sibling relationship is important is for things like this. So we have body, who is the master parent, right? Body is the parent of everyone. Body had a child, its child is wrapper. So we're saying wrapper is going to be 95% of body. Boom. That's it. We're good. So that is how we have that additional space on the side. So we're happy with that. But then we said header. Header's width might as well be 100% of wrapper because we don't have any anything on the side. We want it to just fit wrapper snug. Okay. So now header is 100% of wrapper. And we're going to say, we said header height was 150 pixels. So, GT 150 pixels. And then we said, okay, so now it's going out. We said, what else did we say about header? What else is about it? We have an image coming in header on the left. And we have an image coming in header on the right. And we have a background color for header, which is that sky blue. So let me go ahead and give it background color. And we'll do this #33 CC FF colon. Okay, so we have our color in here. We no longer need the word header in there because remember header was just holding our spot for us. I'm going to save this. And then the next thing that I want to do with header is okay, so I can bring my images in 2 ways. I can bring it in on the HTML side, and it'll just be 2 images that I'll have to style inside of CSS. or I can bring it in on the CSS side, and then I have to work with positioning. So we can play with this. So let's just play. I'm gonna type background image. I'm gonna browse for it. I don't usually do positioning all the time, so just bear with me. Go back to the SeaLife images. I'm gonna choose this well image, and I'm gonna be happy with it. Look how pretty she is. Look at my whale, so cute. Okay, so now I need to do background repeat because I don't want it to repeat, right? Oops. I need to spell it right. Spelling is so hard. All right, background repeat. I want no repeat, okay? And then background position. I'm gonna say top left. That one's good. All right, here's the deal. Let's just play now. So I have that background in here. I need to bring in another background. And this is gonna be that bubbles, IMG. So I have both of those in here and they're separated by a comma, as you can see. Now I need to tell it that I also do not want it to repeat. So no repeat. And then position for that one is going to be top right. Okay. I'm going to save this and I'm going to preview this inside our browser so we can see what happened. All right, now I have some explaining to do for you guys. I know how it goes. Anyway, let's just check it real quick. Okay, I'm liking that. All right, and it's responding. Okay, so I need to explain what I just did, I'm sure. But before I do that, let's go ahead and get rid of this header text. I'm gonna go back to the source code. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get rid of header. So we don't need that word. We know. Okay, so I just got rid of the word header. All right, what I just did was you can bring in multiple background images. You have to separate them by this comma. I'm gonna go to code view just so you can see. Okay, so you have to separate them. Hang on a second. Okay, more room. By a comma. So I brought in the first image, which was the well, which I wanted that one positioned. Well, I wanted it to have no repeat, and I wanted it to be positioned on the top left. And that's what I just did, right? So I put in this image called well. I said no repeat, and then I said its position is going to be top left. Well, then I put in the image for bubbles. Well, I had a comma in there, and then I put an image for bubbles, and then I said for that one, background no repeat, and for that one, I wanted it to be positioned in the top right. So you can bring in multiple images. You just have to state the rules for each one. I can bring in a third image if I want, as long as I have the comma, as long as I tell it to repeat, how I want it to repeat, and as long as I tell it the background position. So it's pretty cool. You can do multiple things inside of with your images, but you just have to tell it the positions and the repeats, and you have to separate it by the comma. Cool, right? Yes. All right. So the next thing that I want to do, we have some text in header that we're going to have to put in here because we have our, oops, wrong doc. We have our SeaLife, and then we have an aquatic experience below that. So I'm going to go back to our HTML, and we could have done this when we were setting up the HTML. We just didn't. So inside of our header, I think I want to make that one an H1. I'm going to title this one SeaLife. And then where we have an open, we must close. So let's close that H1. And then, as a matter of fact, I'm going to open header. And then for the, yeah, let's do that. Tab that in. And then for the next one, I'm going to make that maybe a H3. And that was an aquatic experience. Okay. I'm going to save that. Let's see what we've done. Ooh. So, we added some text, and we end up adding some padding. And the reason we added some padding and stuff is because our the SeaLife and the aquatic experience, we made them age tags, which have their own padding and stuff to them, which is added through the browser. So that's okay. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So we can go in and we can control this, but we need some information from our Photoshop document. So if we look at SeaLife, SeaLife kind of comes in after that whale, which is why we needed our width, right? So the width of the whale was 150 pixels, and then the width of the bubbles was 306 pixels, right? So we kind of want it coming in at that area. The only issue is when we put the background, there's nothing stopping our text and stuff from going over it. So this is one of those things you have to consider when you're bringing it in, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and go to Dreamweaver, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a few highlights. Okay, so we have our information in here. Let's go to our CSS, and let's say, okay, so I want to target header H1, right? Because we want to be very specific, and we want to target H1 selector. So you want to say for this one, font, maybe, I want to say font weight is going to be, but we can play with it. So font weight, we'll say, what will we say, guys? We'll say 20%, which is going to be crazy. It's going to be so crazy. But I go big just so I can see what happens. And let's do font color. I think that font color was blue. I have the exact color, but for now, I'm going to type blue just for a second so I can see what happens. And I'm going to go to the CSS, go here, and did I not save? Nope, I saved. So here's the deal though. We have font weight, font color. We have, and actually, let me go ahead and fix that color now. Font color was that dark blue, so # 004080. I think it's blue. Hang on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then font style. Maybe bold. But remember in body, when I said we could define the font, this is probably a good place for us to go ahead and start setting up and defining our font inside of here. And reason being is if we go ahead and define the font, I mean, it has a default size of like 16, I think it's 16 pixels. Yeah, I think it comes in 16 pixels. That's the default. I'm pretty sure. So it has a default size of 16 pixels, but the issue is usually it'll do 20% of the 16 pixels. But at that 16 pixel ratio, let's go ahead and go up to body. And let's go ahead and we want ours maybe to be a little bigger. So let's go ahead and do our font size. Let's make this maybe 18 pixels. That's kind of my default. So normally this is the only place we will have to put the pixels. And the reason you have to put pixels in at this point is because you want a reference point. So when you say 20%, you're saying 20% of what? So 20% of 18 pixels is how big I want it now. Okay. So now with that saved, now we may not see, there may be one more thing that we have to do, but let's just see. Sometimes it lets us get away with this. All right. So now that I said, oh, 20% of 16 pixels, now it's making the fonts a little bigger. And now you see that change that just happened. Let's just test it though. So we're saying 20% of 16 pixels. Let's say 120% of 16 pixels, and let's see what happens with our font. At that point, when we hit refresh, look at that. Should have gotten bigger. It's not. So with fonts, font gets kind of, oh, you know why? Because I don't have font size. Let's do font size. Save that. And now let's refresh. And here. And so now it's giving me a font that is 120 pixels. Ladies and gentlemen, my daughter has arrived in the room. Say hi.
What up?
She says, what up? Hi, baby.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, so that was my girl. I told you I would put them on video if they come in, so now you guys have met her. All right, so it just really totally ignored what I said. So another thing that I need is I need to go back to Photoshop and I need to find out what fonts I actually used. I used Avenir Oblique, Avenir Light. I am not quite sure if those are, all right, so let's see if we even have those. So let's define our font family. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you before my girl walked in. Another thing that usually you'll want to do when you're creating your document in fonts. Fonts like those M measurements, which are EMs, and then what an M is, and it's actually EM. An M unit of measurement is whatever letter that you're using, it's the width, the width of the M of that particular letter. So let's say we use, I might try this one. I kind of like this, but I want how that could be first. But anyway, let's try Gill Sans, and let me go ahead and put my semicolon, and then put my font style. Let's see if my font changes. All right. Okay, so it's reading that, and let's try our font size in M's. It should work in percentages, but for whatever reason, save. There we go. Let's test this theory a little more. I'm a tester, so I'm gonna say 12M just to see what it does. But it should grow, and it does. Okay, now I'm happy. I'm not happy that it grew that big. I'm just happy that it's working. Okay, so let me look at 3M. See what that looks like. That's a bit bold, to tell you the truth. Let me see how I have it in Photoshop. Photoshop, I don't have it so bold. I kind of have it, so I may choose like a number like 100 and then make life thinner. Okay, so, font style. Normal. Why that didn't work, I don't even know. I did font style normal, font family, Gill Sans. Let's try. Let's try font width. Let's try, oops, it's not even right. Let's try. Let's try italic. Okay, so italic works. Alright, I'm not a fan of Gil Sans. I'm about to get rid of that one. Very Pro Deja Vu. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make my own. Well, I like Helvetica. Let's see. I'm going to alter this family. I broke the family. I'm sorry, guys. Helvetica, Arial, Sans Serif. Let's see if I can make Helvetica do what I want. I can make it do what I want. Okay, SeaLife. I don't really want italic. I kind of want bold. Okay. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm going to say padding left, because remember we need to move it over. And I'm going to say I want the padding left to be, what do we say, the 500 pixels. Now it's going to break our box, or it should break our box. We'll see what happens though. All right. It did not, so that's cool. So I'm padding left. It's moving it over about 500 pixels. This is what I was talking about. See how it's a fixed width? So it's not really moving. I kind of try to stay away from those. So I'm going to play with percentages just to see what happens. So I'm going to try. And this is that game I talked about in class. It's more of a guessing game where you're like, oops. Where you're like, all right, where do you fit? And now the thing is, in Photoshop, of course, I can do percentages. I just like to play with stuff, and that's kind of like my thing. But you can do percentages to get stuff to go where you want. Look at that. It said, okay, you want me to go 200%? I'm going to do 200%. Let's try 50%. And then if I can't figure it out, I will go into Photoshop so that I'm not sitting here forever. Okay, 50% is looking okay. I mean, it's getting there, meaning. Let's try 30%. All right, we're getting there. Okay, so I'm going to play with percentages. I'm going to do just padding because I want to play with the padding all around. So I'm going to say top. Right now, I might try 10%. Bottom, I'm not really worried about. Left, TR. Oh, that's right. Right was my 30%. No, right was not. I'll say 0%. Bottom, I'll say 0%. And then left, I'll say 30%. See how that's looking. Okay, that looks good. TRBL. So for my top, I might say 2%. See how that looks? So this is the game that you play. You pretty much play with it until you get it looking how you want it to look. And then I want the size of the font to go up. So I'm going to say 4M. Check that out. .4M is almost there. I'm going to do 5M. See what's happening up here? We have to fix that, but let me get this font where I want it, and then we'll worry about fixing that. Let's see. Now I'm gonna move this over here so I can see it. All right. So I'm okay with the top. I want that to be, but I want to see life a little closer actually. So left, I'm gonna say 15%, and then top, I'm gonna say maybe 3%. See what that looks like. That's about as close as I want it. And actually, C, I kind of want C to be a little slant and life to be normal. Okay, so I gotta fix those things. All right, so font family, Helvetica, Arial, Sans Serif, I'm okay with. Font style, I do want it to be bold. Font weight. Maybe you want it to be, let's try 200. There we go. There we go. So I made the font weight 200. I'm liking that just a little more. I think I want the C to be italic, so I may have to choose a special class for that, but life is exactly how I want it. So I'm going to keep life like it is, and I'm going to create a style for, or a special class for C. So that being said, I'm going to go back into my source code for my H1, and I just want a specific class for this one. So I'm going to do H1. I'm going to go into the tag and make sure I'm right at the left arrow with H and a 1, hit the space bar, and I'm going to do class equals and put my quotes in. And I'm just going to name this one maybe special. Special, yep, special. Okay. So with that being said, that's all I had to do was assign a class to the H1. Okay. So now this follows the H1 rule, and it also follows the special rule. Okay. And what I need to do is I'm going to put this class just on this particular word, SeaLife. So I'm going to go to CSS, and I'm going to make a style for just that one. So this one is header. I could do header class special, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the dot and just type special. As long as I'm only using this class here, I don't have to be super specific. So for font weight of this one, I'm going to go maybe 200. Oops. I'm going to check that. See if it complies. Oh, that one's 200. Oops. I'm going to do maybe 300. Save that. There's that. See if it complies. Let's try 400. What happened? Okay. Something weird happened. Let me see. All right. So I'm going to try, I'm going to go big just so I can see if it's actually complying. Oh, it is. Okay. So it is complying, right? So I said, oh, I want the weight to be 900. And it made it 900. But the thing is, if you look at our Photoshop document, we have our C is dark and our life is lighter. So I only want to affect this word C. This is where a new term is introduced. I think we did one before, but I'm not sure. I teach so many classes, I can't. We're going to span because we only want our class to span across just the word C. So this is where we have to do a span class. I'm going to go back to the source code. And where I have this H1 class, I'm going to go ahead and close the H1 because now it becomes a new rule. And I'm going to put the left bracket and I'm going to type span space class. And I'm going to spell span right because it doesn't like when you don't. So now I added a new tag called span class of special that I only want around the word C. So what I have to do at this point is I have to put my cursor right after the word C, and I have to close the span to say, okay, well, here's where I want it to affect. I only want to affect this word C. So I have to wrap C inside of a class called special and then close that span. And so this is what I'm going to do here. And if I save it, I should have the desired outcome that I want when I refresh. Now see how span C is dark and life stays its normal color. Okay, so that's how you do a span class, and that's how you control just that area. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to go back to my CSS because I don't think it's following that blue that I put in there. Font color, I said 00, what was it for that dark blue? 4080, but it doesn't look blue to me. Let's go back to our Photoshop and see why. Because our background for our wrapper or body is that same color, that 004080. So let's see if, oh my goodness, look what I did. I never do this. I put font color, which is a very old CSS4 rule. Now when I hit refresh, it should comply with that blue. Shame on me. Shame, shame, shame. Okay, so I have SeaLife in there. I'm happy with that. Special is in here just to change the font weight of SeaLife. The next thing I need to do is style that header. And then once we style this H3, then we're going to end the video and we'll go into the next one. So it's header H3 because I think it's running long. And then for our header, we're going to do the same font family. So as a matter of fact, why reinvent the wheel? Let's go ahead and grab, not that. Let's go ahead and grab that, copy that, paste that in. So we have our same font family. Okay. And then we want to do our font style. And we'll say, say oblique. And then we'll do our font weight. $100. And then we'll do our font size. It's probably 2M. Probably less, but maybe not. Oops. And then we'll do our color, which is, I think, that same blue. If I look at the PSD, yep, it is that same blue. So color, £sign. That was at 004080. And then, what else? What else is about it? You know, we'll set up our padding and stuff in a moment. Let me just click here. Click here. Refresh that. I'm liking that. So now we just need to move that into place. So actually our SeaLife from the top is just a little too much. I might make that too. Okay, there we go. And then aquatic experience. I know that I want that to be padded over quite heavily. So let's try padding top. I'm gonna try 0. That's gonna be crazy, but I'm gonna do it. Padding right, we'll say, doesn't really matter, so I'll say 0. Padding bottom, we'll say 0. And then padding left, we'll say 25%. See what that looks like. Just a little more because I want the A to go underneath of the L. Like I want it to be in line with that L. So left, maybe 29%. I'm happy with that, but I'm gonna do 28% just to make sure. Only because I like pushing the envelope. All right, I can deal with that. So now what I have to do is for my margin to scoot that information up, I'm going to have to do, let's try negative padding and see. Let's try negative 10. Nope. So I'm going to have to do negative margin for that. So I'm going to say margin, I'm going to say top, negative 10. R, let's say 0. B, I'm going to say 0. And L, I'm going to say 0. See what happens. All right, we're getting somewhere. Here's what happened when we did that. It's moving up. Okay, so now negative 10% might have been a bit much. So we'll say negative 7. See what that does. Okay, we're almost there. Let's try negative 5. That's a bit much, but we're heading in the right direction. Well, actually, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. All right, so maybe I'll say padding bottom, just to see how far I can push this bottom. Okay. Pretty good. I may try to play with, let me see, negative 4. Oops. Negative 6. See, I'm almost happy with it. Negative 6.25. Because you can do decimals. How about negative 5.75? There we go. And I think I am good with that. I think I am. Now, weird things happen, and there are ways you have to lock it down later, which we'll get into in later videos. But for now, I'm happy with that. I'm going to have to set some min rules later on, which are like minimums that it can't go beyond and things like that. But for now, we're good. This is what happens when you're not dealing with fixed widths. All right, so for now, this is good. This is how we like it. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video because I'm sure it is way longer than I wanted it to be. So I'll see you in the next video where we continue with our nav bar and putting our other information in.